Welcome to Burning Daylight Sports with Matt McKinley, Eric Winkler, and Jake Rehnquist. Join us every Tuesday for betting lines, hot takes, and a whole lot of fun. Welcome back, Burning Daylight Sports. This was a wild weekend. I didn't get to watch a ton of football on Saturday, but I was following it close, and goddamn, the SEC is beating themselves up. The Big 12 is beating themselves up, and CSU proved that they're not quite capable of. That there's jury's out. They could still make the conference championship, but man, they had a very beatable Fresno State, and second half showed that they should have beat Fresno State, but they got off. They marched down the field, scored on the first drive, and then shit the bed for the rest of the half. Went down 21-7, and they made it a good game, but I turned it off because I was like, they're just not going to happen. They got down too big too early and couldn't make up the gap. So we're looking like just regular old bowl game, but could have had a chance to put a little speed bump in Boise State's way to the playoff. And by speed bump, I mean
really
Genty just stomping over everybody on the CSU Rams team on his way to a playoff appearance. So we'll see. We got Nevada and UNLV this weekend, and Nevada needs to win, and CSU needs to win, and then CSU's back in the Mountain West championship game. So I don't see it happening, but Nevada's feisty.
Nevada beating UNLV by a long shot.
I don't either, but
this is a Nevada team that is 0-6 in conference and 3-9 overall. I mean, they started out 3-3 and hit conference play and just decided to stop playing.
Yeah, they're not a good team, but they have had some good losses. Like they gave SMU. It took SMU to the last drive to pull out a win there, and they played Boise really, really tough. We were talking before the game because Wyoming gave Boise a hell of a game there in Laramie. That was a fun game to watch. It was disappointing down the stretch, much like the Broncos. The Cowboys could not figure out how to just take fucking time off the clock.
No, we could have we had 5 whole minutes to score a touchdown. That's all we needed to do. Score a touchdown.
Yeah.
And hand them their second loss.
Or even go and pin them down at the 1, even if you went for it on 4th and goal and pinned them down deep like that, that's as good as a touchdown at that point.
Yeah.
And unlike the Broncos, who had a Gardner Minshew-less Raiders coming at them, you had the best running back in college football coming at you, and he had an off game. He didn't rush for 200 yards this time, so only 170. What's the 75? 176?
Yeah, I think it was 169.
I mean, just a peasant's performance, honestly.
Yeah, performance. I mean, who like
Bush League shit.
Bush League. I don't know why everybody says he's the best running back in football.
He'll be lucky to go to get drafted at all. I mean,
I think he's definitely one of those undrafted free agent types.
He'll be lucky to make a squad, practice squad somewhere. Fuck. Yeah, it's it was fun seeing him give Boise a run. I've got no particular hate for Boise, but I'm never been a fan, never hated them, but I always respect Boise because they, like, when they're good, they play for keeps. They may not be as good as you, but they're they're gonna make you work for it.
Yeah.
And they I don't know. They take care of business up there on the blue turf, but Boise still rolling. Gave them a scare. I got the latest rankings, I think. They come out today. Is that right?
Yeah. So the college football playoff rankings are updated.
So we got 2 Big Ten, 2 SEC in the top 4. Notre Dame squeaking in at 5. So Oregon, Ohio.
No, 3 Big Ten still. It's Penn State.
Oh yeah, Penn State.
It's
So
looking.
we
I
just got
mean,
1 SEC, huh?
yeah. Now Georgia and Tennessee are the only left ranked within the top 12. Alabama and Ole Miss and South Carolina right now are on the outside looking in at 12 through 14.
And of those 3, I like
14.
South Carolina the best to get in.
Yeah, I don't know who they've got this week. They've got Clemson.
I
If
think.
they stomp Clemson, which is not unlikely,
No.
they might be the next, like the last one in.
Yeah.
Then we don't have a Big 12 team until number 16, Arizona State.
Boy, Arizona State is making a show here late in the season, aren't they? Like
Yeah.
I'm kind of rooting for the old Sun Devils. Just have they ever done anything in football since like Jake Plummer was there?
No.
And I don't think they did much there, but they just had Plummer and Pat Tillman.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they play CU right this week.
I think this is the Buffaloes. No, they're at Arizona. They don't play
Arizona.
Colorado.
Okay.
They don't play Colorado unless Colorado and Arizona State make the playoff.
Okay.
Or make the conference championship. But Arizona State has to win. Iowa State has to lose. BYU has to lose. And Kansas State has to lose right now. I think for I mean, they're still first in the Big 12.
Yeah.
The Buffaloes are. But
they play Oklahoma this weekend, I think.
Yeah, they're playing Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State. Okay, well I
don't know. I don't think this season. I was wrong about Oklahoma this week, but I don't think I'm going to be wrong about saying Oklahoma State's going to lose.
No, I feel like that's a pretty solid chance. Where's it at?
In Boulder.
In Boulder, yeah. I see you should win that.
Yeah, I mean, there are 4 teams right now tied for first in the Big 12 at 6-2.
Golly, it is pure pandemonium in college football. But yeah. So let's go through the scores and we'll come back to the rankings. So Thursday we had UNLV over San Jose State. No big surprise there. Indiana got blown out by Ohio State 38-15.
Yeah, that was a rough loss for the Hoosiers. That really knocked them out.
It was. Wasn't great on their part.
I mean, they're still a good team, but really knocked them out of contention.
Yeah, it kind of exposed them as not being quite ready for prime time. Texas over Kentucky, solid win. Penn State over Minnesota, squeaked it out, but Minnesota's a tough team. They're not necessarily good, but they're tough.
They're a bowl eligible team, and any team with 6 wins is a decent team.
Yeah, and you get into Big Ten conference play. Like that's a solid win. I mean, I wouldn't say a solid win, but it's a solid performance by Minnesota, not unexpected. Penn State should have won by more, but Minnesota gave them a good game, and that's, like I said, it's not unexpected. I hated to see this one. Hated to see this.
That hurt to watch.
It was rough. I had money on it.
I really thought Army was the real deal.
I kind of,
it's that strength of schedule. It really does play a role when you're talking about, they've got one of the best defenses in the country. Well,
against bad teams.
Who? Yeah, who are you playing?
Right. I had money on this game. I had my heart on this game, and those dirty damn Irish just ripped it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Notre Dame actually
it makes me wonder who played against NIU. Who did they start against Northern Illinois that caused them to lose that game so spectacularly at home?
I don't get it because and it pains me to say it, that Notre Dame looks pretty fucking good. And I hate it. I hate it.
Yeah, who are they playing this week? They've got USC. That might be a fun game.
It could be.
They're at USC, so they could get blown out again.
I mean, it's a perfect time for Notre Dame to pull a Notre Dame. So,
yeah,
I don't expect it, but I hate USC too. So I don't. But USC is not ranked, so I'm rooting. I'm rooting USC on that. They got nothing to play for except for spoiler here. I mean, bowl games, sure, but what do bowl games really mean anymore? So
yeah,
Alabama at Oklahoma. I did not see this coming at all.
I mean, this is the Oklahoma we expected this season.
Yeah, and they came out and just spanked Bama at home. Just Boomer Sooner, just ripped Alabama's heart out.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm no fan of Oklahoma, but I'd never cry seeing Bama lose. So, as good on you, stupid Okies. Wake Forest at Miami. Who cares? Miami's gonna have to probably play SMU for the ACC championship. That could be fun. Yeah. That could be a really fun game.
Yeah, I mean, that one has a ton of implications.
That one might hit 100 points, total points scored.
I wouldn't be surprised. That SMU offense. I mean, they went into Virginia and they put up points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that could be like a 63-60 game.
Yeah.
Just like, might as well just leave the defense on just like leave your cornerbacks out there and that's it. Ole Miss.
That was upsetting.
That was rough.
I mean, Jackson Dart was trying to play hero ball when he didn't have to, and then he threw his first pick, and then we got the ball back, and we had a chance, and then he kept trying to play hero ball. He was doing too much. I think Florida really got to him. They were throwing good pressure at him. They were forcing him out of the pocket, forcing him to make difficult reads, and he was not at all prepared for that.
Yep. I caught just the very end of this game, and yeah, heartbreaker for Ole Miss, but it's a close game. It's in the swamp. Florida's not real good this year, but I mean they're above 500 in the SEC, and I'd take Florida over pretty much everybody but Penn State and Ohio State and Oregon in the Big Ten right now. So,
yeah. I mean, it shows you how good the SEC is when it's like the number 7 defense is getting beat up on. Like it's a tough conference to play in. They like to talk about the SEC bias, but you have 3 good teams in the Big Ten.
Yep.
You have 4 good teams in the Big 12. And now that Texas and Oklahoma are gone.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say real good teams either.
No, I wouldn't either. And I'd say the same with the ACC's 3 good teams.
Same thing,
SEC has I mean, you put any of these other teams, Indiana would not have been undefeated after 5 games if they played in the SEC.
I'm not a chance.
Notre Dame, no way.
Indiana would be lucky to be 500 in the SEC.
Oh, yeah. Oklahoma is so awful this year, yet they just beat Alabama and only allowed a field goal in the first quarter. I mean
that's straight up curb stomping there in Norman.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you expect from an Oklahoma team most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've been unlucky, but they haven't. They also haven't had close losses.
That's
They
a
lost by
typical
10 to Tennessee.
that's like
By
OU at Kansas. That's a typical score. OU at Kansas.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I mean, SEC is really fucking good. Like
yeah.
I've got no particular love for them, but I mean, call them as I see them, and they're easily the best conference in football. UMass, Georgia rolled. No surprise there. Tennessee shuts out UTEP. No surprise there. Yeah, Boise squeaks it out in Laramie. It was a good showing by your Pokes. I'll give them that. SMU, yeah, rolled over Virginia. Arizona State, we called this one over BYU. Yeah, I didn't know that they stormed the field there.
Yeah, they stormed the field with 16 seconds left, took down the goalpost, had to put it back up.
That's
just for them
awesome.
to take it back down.
Well, as we said before, they don't soak down at Arizona State. They fuck hard, and there wasn't much soaking going on in Provo Saturday night. So good on you, Sun Devils. Good on you. Then Auburn over A&M in 4 overtimes.
Yeah. I did not expect this.
No, I don't know that anybody did.
I mean, I cannot believe this happened. This is wild. I mean, this was Jordan Hare. I mean, I talked about it not being the craziest place to play, but oh my gosh, was I wrong?
Yeah. It's setting up for a fucking banger this weekend with Texas coming into College Station.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Texas A&M, after being the longest undefeated SEC team, hits 4 losses. I don't know. Auburn, it's like that kind of Oklahoma team this year, except we expect them to be mediocre.
Yeah, but I mean,
they played up to it.
They'll jump up and bite you, and they showed it. Kansas looks like a good team, like we thought they were going to be at the beginning of the year.
If Kansas won their 5 1-loss games, they'd be 9-2.
Yeah,
or 1-score loss games. I mean, Kansas has never been a bad team. No. They lost to Illinois by 6, UNLV by 3, West Virginia by 4, and TCU by 11, and that was their worst loss.
Yeah,
the entire season.
Well, TCU went on a little bit of a run there.
Yeah, like they've kept it close every other game.
Yeah, and like UNLV's ranked, Illinois is ranked again. I mean, those are quality losses.
Yeah, I mean, this is a Kansas team that deserves to be in the Big 12 playoff or the Big 12 championship. They, for the third time, only two other teams in history have beaten 3 in a row ranked opponents while coming in with a losing record.
That's wild.
I mean, it's insane.
It is insane. And yeah, it's man, they shot themselves in the foot so hard early on.
Yeah, I mean, they've just been so unlucky. Like, it's like, I think someone was talking about if they didn't play the last 2 minutes of any of these games, they'd have the 9-2 record.
Yeah. Like, it's wild.
Yeah.
It's wild.
They won their first game, lost 5 or 4 straight. No, they did lose 5 straight.
Yeah.
Beat Houston, lost to K-State, and then they've just been winning since.
Yeah, and
Kansas.
CU's on a slide. There's not a realistic chance for them to get in now, is there?
Depends. If Arizona State, Depending on, because they're tied for first, so they just have
That's
to
true.
win, and the other two teams have to lose, and they just have to make sure that they win convincingly next week, and then win convincingly in their conference championship game. And I think they
Mm,
have a chance.
okay.
They just have
Well,
to be the highest ranked last conference champion,
yeah,
because
that's
it's
true.
looking like Boise State's going to take that fourth spot.
Yep. Yeah, so they're
I
looking at
hate,
it
but I also love to see.
right. And so yeah, the Big 12 conference winners basically looking at a maybe an at large. Clemson rolled over the Citadel. Citadel's not a real football team. Um, Neither is Wofford. South Carolina rolled. Iowa State squeaked one out over Utah. Utah's not got a good record, but they're always a good team. Like I don't know. That's every year you can always say that Utah's gonna put up a good team.
Yeah, it's one of those things where they came in and they thought they had high expectations for the season, and then they screwed the pooch big time because they were relying on an ancient quarterback.
Yeah, their starting quarterback in college is now eligible for AARP.
Yeah,
He's
it's
he's taken early lunches and ice cream socials with our current president, about 2:30 in the afternoon, right before nap time.
yeah.
Um
Curious.
Missouri still hanging in there. I guess technically they have a shot,
Yeah,
but
they won't.
Illinois.
I don't know about having a shot. I genuinely I think Missouri is out of it. They are not the same 10-2 team from last year.
No,
That much is obvious.
by a shot, I mean if a lot of weird shit happens, they could get in the SEC championship.
Yeah, I mean, Texas has to lose, Georgia has to lose, Tennessee has to lose. Somehow A&M also has to lose,
Mm,
have to lose. The Tide have to lose, and then LSU and Ole Miss would have to lose. Because I mean, everybody has to basically get to 2 or more losses.
yeah.
But
Which
I
it
don't know,
is
because unless
100% possible.
it's possible for them to make the playoff theoretically, but Arkansas unfortunately isn't ranked. They've had some really good games this year, but just hasn't been their season.
Yeah.
But it's looking like no, I think Ole Miss has a better chance of making the playoff than they do.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But Ole Miss absolutely has to stomp Mississippi State to be able to jump into that conversation, and Vanderbilt has to dominate Tennessee.
Yeah.
Like we need to see some major shifts here. I mean, the only way Ole Miss gets in is if Alabama gets in too, and that's possible.
Mm,
But they're playing that one in Tuscaloosa against Auburn. So
yeah.
how actually possible is it?
Yeah, that's hard telling. Yeah, like I said, theoretically there's a chance for Missouri to make the SEC championship, but very, 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 very unlikely. They're
Yeah.
all but out of the playoff picture completely. Illinois over Rutgers, that's a good win for them. They they don't have a shot at the Big Ten championship, do they?
I don't think so.
9-3? Wouldn't think so.
No, because looking at the Big Ten right now, it's Oregon, Ohio State, Indiana, Penn State, and then Illinois. And the Ohio, Indiana, and Penn State all only have one loss in conference.
Yeah. So, yeah, not a chance there. Solid year for Illinois, though. I mean, they're
Oh, yeah.
hard to argue with it. So back to the rankings. 'Cause, 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 'cause Top three stayed the same. Notre Dame moved up a spot. Miami up 2. Georgia up 3. Tennessee up 3. SMU moved up 4. Indiana down 5. Boise
Yeah.
getting no love, but it was a
I
close win.
It was a close win. I wouldn't understand it if they jumped because they just
Yeah, it
they
wasn't
jumped up
convincing.
one spot. They're just solidifying their fourth conference, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
champion.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Um, Clemson up 5. It's a big jump. They want Clemson in there. It seems like. Bama down 6. Bama should have dropped way lower than that.
Yeah, see, Ole Miss put up a fight against a Florida team who has been very good,
Yeah,
and they dropped 5. Alabama put up 3 points.
against a not good
No,
Oklahoma team.
like Norman is a tough place to play, sure, but
Right.
is it as tough as a Swamp? Absolutely not.
No,
Is it
and
is it as like it's not a quality loss the way Florida is, and neither of them are very quality losses. But this is a Florida team who is bowl eligible. I guess now we're looking at a Oklahoma team that's bowl eligible, but at the same time, losing 24-17 versus losing 24-3.
right, Bama don't lose games like that. You know, like
No,
if Bama scores 3 points and loses, the other team scores 6. You
yeah,
know, they don't get blown out like that.
that
Um,
was
that was an
insane.
embarrassing loss for Alabama, and they should have dropped away more than 6. Ole Miss, like I mean that loss hurts for Ole Miss for sure. I mean that one really stings, but it's at the Swamp. Florida is not a great team, but they're not a
They beat
bad team.
they played well. They're kind of one of those teams, kind of like Kansas, where they're a good team. They
Yep.
have the talent. They just need to kind of put it together the right way. And I'm not saying that Ole Miss should have lost, but it's not it's not as surprising as Alabama losing to Oklahoma.
No, it's not a. I mean, like I said, it stings, but in the grand scheme of things, it's a solid. It's a quality loss, I suppose. Um, South Carolina is another one of those teams that, if they would have put it together a little bit more early on,
Yeah.
they're in a top 10 conversation.
And then I could say the same thing about South Carolina, but South Carolina, they are an 8-14.
Mm,
That's South Carolina football. They
yeah,
have a rough start to the season.
finished
They
strong
had a
and no.
loss. They had close loss to LSU. They got blown out by Ole Miss, but they barely lost to Alabama.
Yep.
They beat A&M. They beat Oklahoma. They beat Vanderbilt, and they beat Missouri. I mean, their ranked wins. They have 2 wins and 2 losses
Yeah.
against ranked competition, top 10 competition.
Mm.
With Ole Miss, Alabama, A&M, and then I guess not Missouri, but Mizzou is just Mizzou.
They're always one of those teams you don't want to play late in the season.
They figure it out late in the season every time.
Yep. Absolutely. They're who do they got left? They got Clemson, and then however the rest of the SEC shakes out. If they beat Clemson, they're theoretically in the SEC championship. So it's they'd need a lot of help, but it's on the table anyways. The rest, Tulane kind of has technically has a chance at
they got a chance at so Boise State would have to lose, or Tulane would have to jump.
And
what's wild to me is that the Army is no longer in the top 25.
Yeah, they dropped
Army
completely
is
out.
10-1. If they beat Tulane, they're going to be 12-1. If they beat Navy, they'll be I guess what is Army's record?
I
I think are they 9-1? 9-1,
um,
yeah.
yeah.
So Army could theoretically finish this season 12-1, with their only loss being to Notre Dame,
Who's at
and
number 5 right now?
who's sitting at number 5, and be out of the playoff.
That's
In
insane.
favor of a potential one or two, like 2-loss ACC champion. If Syracuse pulls out the upset at home against Miami, if Clemson loses at home against South Carolina, or if SMU loses against Cal, which isn't impossible, but
Yeah, not likely, but it's not
not
impossible for sure.
likely. But there's a chance that a conference champion who has put up very high quality numbers all season, one of the best teams according to metrics, is left out simply because they're the Army,
Mm-hmm.
and they were just completely disrespected.
Yeah, that's wild. They dropped them completely out, and they only dropped Alabama down 6. But
Yeah,
I mean,
Alabama gets absolutely shellacked for their first 3-loss season since Nick Saban's first year as a head coach. And Army lost
to know. I mean,
got dropped out by 7. They got dropped 7 points. In 8-3, K-State is back in the mix, and I don't even know if they deserve that, even though they beat up on a bad Cincinnati team.
Right, but then Illinois is back in there too, and it's like I don't know. I think Army's getting snubbed, but
yeah. And then Memphis, you want to talk about a good American team that's also not in the rankings in favor of bad big conference teams. Memphis is another really solid team.
Yeah.
They're
9-2. So
I mean, the American has 3 really good teams at the top of their standings, and they're kind of getting looked over.
Yeah, I think so. I get the snubbing a little bit of the American Conference, but I don't know. Like you said, when there's three that are really good teams there at the top, Tulane lost to K-State, and who else? SMU maybe.
Say that again.
Who did Tulane lose to? K-State.
Tulane lost to Oklahoma and Kansas State in back-to-back weeks. Back when K-State and Oklahoma were still considered top teams.
17 and 15, respectively.
Yeah, so their 2 losses are against ranked teams. I guess they've had a weaker schedule than most. But at the same time, that's a Louisiana team that is, that has potential for, a strong bowl game.
Put up a lot of points too.
One of the best Navy teams in, a long time.
Thumped them too, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, this game could be fun, especially if Tulane wins convincingly. I mean, they could jump a little bit.
They could.
Oregon State at Boise.
Oregon State's not going to win.
No, I mean this
full eligibility
is as far as like historically, this could be a pretty good game, but not this year.
No.
Oregon State historically has a pretty salty team. They're just not very good this year. I mean, CSU beat them, so.
Yeah, it's just I think a lot of their players, a lot of their talent left with the Pac-12.
Yeah, I think
just
so.
Like talent, but a lot of their recruits and everything, they kind of like, well, we want to play in this big conference, and you're playing a Mountain West conference schedule.
Yeah, and not even in the Mountain West.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're Boise out of roll 19. It's the spread on that. I don't hate that. Genty probably $1.50 minimum.
That's an over under. I mean, you got to take the over.
Yeah,
under 125 yards, he's going to hit that.
Yeah, sometimes they do player props on these college football games. So if you can get him, I would, yeah, whatever his rushing yards are, I'd take
Yeah.
the over.
It's odd. The Big 12 is playing a 9-game conference schedule this year.
Yeah, it is wild. Oklahoma State's not got a conference win. That's funny.
No. And unlike Kansas, they have not been unlucky. They've been bad.
They've been really bad, and they were supposed to be kind of good.
Well, they started out ranked.
Yeah,
They were 3-0.
that's right.
They were ranked. Against Tulsa, they were ranked 13th in the country. After their loss to number 12 Utah, they were at 14, and then at Kansas State, they were number 20. So they were a ranked team. They had high expectations
for almost half of the year.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, how the mighty have fallen there. Man, they are not good. Not good. CU is not particularly a good team either. They've got Shadir Sanders, as much as I can't stand the kid, he's good.
Collins.
They are better than CSU. They proved that this year. But Travis Hunter is really, really good. Shadir Sanders is pretty good. I've really grown to not like that guy though. God, he's
Travis Hunter?
No, Shadir Sanders. I've really grown to not like him. Yeah. I'm really not even that big of a fan of Dion anymore either. Yeah. I hope Oklahoma State gets their first Big 12 win. It's not going to happen, but I'm rooting for it.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't see that happening.
No.
This Oklahoma State team has not been good.
They're bad.
Yeah, it's just like this Mississippi State team.
Yeah, they're bad too.
Yeah,
2-9, 0-7 in the SEC. Egg Bowl
garbage as Oklahoma State, and they're playing Ole Miss at home, or they're playing away at Ole Miss. I don't think they've got a chance. Again, like I said last week about Alabama, it's a team that needs to make a statement to keep its chances alive.
Yeah.
And Ole Miss loves to stomp all over Mississippi State. So,
all right.
I mean, you look at that. The spread is Mississippi by 26, and the total is 61.5. Ole Miss still has one of the stingiest defenses in the country, and I think it'll be. There's no. Mississippi State is maybe 2 years away from really having a program that's going to compete the way even Auburn's competing at the moment. So, yeah, take Ole Miss to cover there.
All right. I don't hate that.
Game, that's exciting.
I like this.
Has, I think, 2 ranked wins already.
Yep. The first one doesn't really count because it was against that god-awful Florida State team.
But they did. They upset an undefeated Miami.
Yep.
So, I mean,
they're feisty. They're feisty.
Yeah. I mean, they barely beat a bad NC State team, 29-30.
So I was listening to on Drinking Bros Sports earlier today, and they said the cheapest tickets for this game, because it's in Athens, was like $4,500, and like that was like last row.
Yeah, no, that's the same way for the Ole Miss Mississippi State game.
That's wild. And I think they said the UT A&M game was like $9,000 or some shit like that.
Yeah, no. And those, like at Wyoming, I don't know how it is at CSU. I think it's the same. Students don't have to pay for tickets.
No. Or they used to not have to. I don't know with that new stadium. They probably do.
Yeah. But I mean, like at Wyoming, you don't have to pay. At Texas and Texas A&M and Ole Miss, you have to pay for student tickets. You can't.
You have to get in line to be on the list
to get tickets. I mean, they were, the A&M students were like sleeping. They were camping out like they were getting the new iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
for hours before they even opened to get their tickets for this game.
I remember we played for homecoming. We played Utah, and Utah was yeah, and that was when I think they had Alex Smith at the time. So like Utah was good.
Yeah.
And I had to wait maybe 30 minutes to get a ticket for that game.
Do you mean
maybe
Joseph Smith?
Joseph Smith. Well, this is remember it's BYU light.
Wrong Utah.
Yeah.
Wrong Utah team. Maybe just a little, maybe a little after your time.
It's Joseph Smith's lesser known brother Jim Smith.
That's right.
James Smith. He's mostly on board, but not fully on board.
Yeah.
He's cool with the extra wives, not so much with the no caffeine, no booze.
No caffeine. Yeah. Although you can have caffeine if it's in a soda.
Right, especially if it's owned by the church.
But you can't have caffeine if it's natural and just comes from a ground up bean. The logic behind
the Seer Stones said so, okay?
That's right, but you can't read them. Only I can read them because it's only in the language that I understand.
Well, I mean, obviously, that's how it works.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on board. I felt awful. So one of my girlfriend's friends from work, they came out to come to the CSU Wyoming volleyball game here, which CSU thoroughly dominated us. We won the first set and then got spanked. CSU had this girl on their team who was just smashing laser beams. Insane. But she's like, yeah, I went to BYU, and I snorted hard. I was like, oh yeah, that's a great school, I've heard. And I'm like, you're still, I forgot she's like still Mormon, so that what I said was very offensive. I can't take that school seriously.
No, I can't either.
Y'all have to realize that you guys are the Canadians of religion. Nobody takes you seriously. You've committed some serious atrocities in the past, and you're really nice.
So, Evan Hafer of Black Rifle Coffee got sued by one of his former employees, who was Mormon. And part of the lawsuit was he kept calling him a mountain Jew. And I've never heard a better slur for the Mormons in my life as mountain Jew.
No, I mean they've got an actual Jew on their team.
Yeah,
at quarterback.
That's true.
Know that was possible. I thought it was like
you wouldn't think that'd be allowed.
No, I figured that you had to be Mormon to go there because I thought that's how it always used to be.
Right.
Like that's Jabari
back in my day, you had to be a real Mormon to go to BYU.
Now they just let anybody into BYU.
First it was the Samoans, now they just take everybody.
Well, the Samoans are Mormon. They love taking their bikes out there. I don't know how they survive.
I don't know, but they
you don't see any Tongan Mormons, and that's because they'd eat them. I had a buddy who made that. He was from Tonga, and I served with him. Bowling ball of a dude. He played for Dixie State before they turned it into Utah Tech.
Oh yeah.
Also, what I don't understand it. Why it was ever called Dixie State in Utah? When he said Dixie State, I was like, oh, do you isn't that in Mississippi? No, he's like, oh, it's in Utah, and I'm like, no, what?
That's what they called the southern Mormon settlements in back in old Deseret was they called the southern settlements Dixie.
Oh, that makes sense now.
Yeah. But speaking of Mormons, they had a good run in Ohio, in Kirtland, Ohio, which is not that far from Columbus. I just looked it up on the map. So there's probably a few Mormons that go to Ohio State. That's a huge school. So there's
huge, when I was talking about to my friends, oh yeah, well CSU is a really big school. They got 30,000 people. Wyoming's smaller. It's got 12,000. My friends who went to Tennessee, we got 60,000 people here.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
There's 80,000. Ohio State's just as big. I can't imagine.
It's like Ohio State and Central Florida are the biggest student bodies in the country.
Which is wild that it's Central Florida.
Yeah, I know it. I don't understand why Ohio State's such a huge campus either. I mean, I guess back in the day, Ohio had a lot of big cities. Not so much anymore, but Michigan's not good this year either.
State has 80,000.
Holy fuck!
Arizona State, and then Texas A&M has 75. Ohio State has 60. UCF has 68. NYU has 60,000.
Really?
And I thought they were like super hard to get into.
That's kind of what I thought too. And they don't have dorms either, do they? Like you just live in the city, right?
I don't think so.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, Georgia Tech is, I mean, you don't even see small schools here. The smallest school on here, like in terms of football, I guess would be FIU with 55.
Huh.
55,000 people go to the Florida International University.
That's almost.
Is that in
double.
Tampa?
I don't even know where that's at.
Florida Atlantic is in like southern Florida. You know, University of Southern Florida is in Orlando.
Florida.
No, or USF is in Tampa. UCF is in Orlando.
Florida Nationals in Miami. So that makes a little more sense, I guess.
Yeah. But it's wild. School size is nuts.
That is wild.
It doesn't always translate to good football.
No, it doesn't, especially when it comes to those Florida schools like FIU and UCF.
Well, like, UCF has, I mean, they still have their national championship.
National champ, which I kind of respect. You know,
Florida State should have done, if they had beat Georgia, they should have done the same thing.
Yeah, for sure. Michigan, Ohio State, it's in the big house.
Michigan, this is one of those years for Michigan where all they care about is beating Ohio State.
Just giant killer.
I think we might see a Michigan win here. Ohio State didn't look soft at all this season. And it proved that Oregon was the real deal.
Right.
Oregon proved that Oregon was the real deal. But Michigan loves they've got a streak right now of wins against Ryan Day. And Ryan Day chokes as much as Penn State's coach.
That's true.
I can't remember his name.
So I don't know either, but yeah. Franklin.
That's right. Franklin and Day, they choke, which is what led to Michigan having that run of success.
Yeah.
But I mean, I also wouldn't be surprised to see Ohio State absolutely smack them.
For real.
I mean, they smacked Indiana, and Indiana, their chances of winning, of going 10-0 were 12%. Even though they had a softer schedule, 12% chance is pretty slim.
Yeah.
To win 10 games in a row and go be 10-0. So we'll see. It's the biggest game this year for Michigan. There is no bigger game. They're not playing in a good bowl.
No.
And we're 7-5, and they
no chance at the Big Ten championship. So it's strictly to knock Ohio State off.
Yeah, there's no saving players for the playoff or the championship or free from bowl games. They are going to throw everything they can at this Ohio State team, and either we'll see Ohio State really prove that they are as solid as they've looked, or they won't be.
Right. And as far as, it's rivalry week in college football, and outside of Auburn, Alabama, like this is the rivalry in college football.
I'd say it's a bigger rivalry than Auburn, Alabama.
Last couple of years for sure.
Yeah. And I think with Texas A&M and Texas, that rivalry resuming, I think Auburn, Alabama is getting knocked down to being the third. And I would even put Alabama, Georgia higher than Auburn, Alabama, just because how Auburn's been playing. They're not that top 5 team anymore.
Well, they haven't had a good quarterback since our boy Bo Nix.
Yeah, and they couldn't put a good team around him, so he left, and
Yep.
they've struggled since. But Hugh Freeze is a shit coach. I
That's
mean,
true.
Diego Pavia owns that man. He has never lost to Hugh Freeze. I think like if Hugh Freeze goes to the NFL and is an assistant coach or something, and Pavia makes it, I don't care if Pavia is your practice squad quarterback. You start that man against a Hugh Freeze associated team, and you'll win.
Nice.
Now, speaking of Pavia, Tennessee is at Vanderbilt, and we have seen Vanderbilt have some very solid games at home. They lost to Texas, which kind of derailed their hopes.
Yep.
Lost to a very solid South Carolina team, and they put up points against a decent LSU team.
Yep. And now you got the in-state rivalry, and Vanderbilt hasn't been good ever, really.
Yeah.
I bet they get all the way the fuck up for this game, and I'm putting Vanderbilt money line.
I mean that I don't think I'd take Tennessee to cover the spread, even if they win.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
think
going to be close.
I think Tennessee is another one of those teams that is soft, and is softer than they've looked. I mean, they lost to Arkansas. They beat Alabama. This is an Alabama team that is not the Alabama teams.
It just got spanked in Norman. I mean, absolutely spanked.
I mean, the point that when they've put up over 30 points,
like they didn't even say "good girl" when they spanked them. They just flat out spanked them.
The only teams they've put up more than 30 points against were Chattanooga, NC State, Kent State, Mississippi State, and UTEP.
Who's terrible. And UTEP is arguably the worst team in football. Is college football is UTEP.
Besides Kent State, who officially went 0-12 tonight.
Nice.
The worst record in I don't know how many years.
Well, since that whole National Guard thing.
They actually had their National Guard had a good record. Their KD was
Kent State did not.
Yeah, Kent State.
National Guard is undefeated in that scenario. The National Guard is undefeated. No, I like Vandy. I like Vandy money line. Vandy with the points, sure. I might do both. I don't know about the over/under. This could be an absolute dogfight, but I don't know if it's going to be a defensive dogfight or a shootout.
No, but we have seen Vanderbilt come out with strong defenses against good teams.
That's true. And like I said, I feel like this is the nerdy little cousin school of Tennessee that is poised to get some major revenge, and I think they're going to get up for it. Season. Yeah, I want to. Isn't Vanderbilt's in Nashville, and then the river that goes through there, or is that it? Is that at
Knoxville
at Tennessee?
There's a river that goes through Nashville, but it is not. Knoxville has now. I've spent so much time there. It's like I don't know how I can't remember what these rivers are. I've driven through them so many times.
Well, I want to see the goalpost like sticking out of Toby Keith's I Love This Bar and Grill in downtown Nashville. That's what I want to see after the game.
Yeah, it'll go in the Cumberland River, which is where the goalposts went after Alabama.
All right, that's what I want to see.
So many goalposts in that river.
Yeah.
But I can genuinely see this Tennessee team losing to Vanderbilt.
I could too.
A possibility.
It feels like it should happen. Like I don't know. It just Vanderbilt's had that type of year. Tennessee's on the come up. You know, like they were dog shit for so long. Like a true like college football blue blood that just fucking disappeared for like 15 years. And now they're like on the come up the last couple of years, and now here comes Vanderbilt, and I just want to see it. I want to. It's that whole giant killer deal. It's like I want to see Michigan take down Ohio State, not because I have any love for Michigan at all, but just for the chaos. Add to the already chaotic season. Vanderbilt, go do your thing. Throw those goalposts in the fucking river. Toss up the SEC even more than it already is. South Carolina, go stomp the dog shit out of Clemson.
I almost want South Carolina to lose because
Just for the chaos.
Victory over Clemson puts them over an Ole Miss victory over Mississippi State.
Oh, yeah, it's true.
And I want Ole Miss to make it. I'm an Ole Miss fan. I like Ole Miss. So, but for the chaos, I want Clemson to go down.
Yeah.
I want Miami to go down. Hell, I want SMU to go down.
Why not?
I want to see an American. I want to see it to be the Big 12, the Big 10, the SEC, the Mountain West, the American, and then ACC and Big 12 are fighting for that group, like that outside.
And then they get edged out by Washington State and the Pac-2.
Washington State now finishes the season. I guess they're going to finish 10-2.
I mean, it's
lost.
It's not out of the possibility. I mean, it's not likely, but it's not. But it's a card that's still on the table.
Standings. Let's see where Wazoo is at. Wazoo is sitting at 8-3.
8-3. All right. Yeah, they're out.
They're finishing the season hosting my Wyoming Cowboys.
Oh. Well, I mean,
they went from 7-0, I think, to 8-3. That was rough because I also pull for Washington State, but it was tough to see that.
It's funny if CSU hadn't become such a dog shit university over the past however long it's been since I graduated there. I would really be rooting for Washington State hard just to say fuck Wyoming, but like I've actually come to like Wyoming a little bit more than CSU as far as the university goes. I'm not rooting for them, the Cowboys in the border war, but I'm also not rooting against the Cowboys any other time. So if Washington State was better, I'd be really rooting for Wyoming to play giant killer there. But I mean, I don't care who wins that game. It doesn't mean much. Illinois at Northwestern, that's a meaningless game as well. Maryland at Penn State. Penn State needs to win.
Yeah, but could you imagine if they lost?
Oh, that'd be so funny.
The chaos. Hilarious. I would love it if they lost.
I would too. And like no love again, or hate towards Penn State. No love for Maryland. Just chaos. For the sheer chaos, it'd be amazing. And like it just seems fitting for this first year of the 12-team playoff for it to be this much chaos. I mean, because I've not paid this much attention to college football in quite some time, and it's been fun as fuck.
Well, and we talked about how like smaller schools and smaller teams are able to now compete.
Mm-hmm.
Big schools, because these big schools will sign 34 5-stars a class, and then those kids aren't getting playing time.
They have all the talent and none of the continuity, and then you end up with a situation where maybe the next Joe Burrow doesn't go to another powerhouse, but is like, fuck it, let me try out a UNLV, like that one kid did for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
if he would have got paid, maybe they would have.
Yeah, if they would have actually gave him what they promised him.
UNLV could be in the conversation right now.
They still could be.
I mean, yeah, technically they still are.
They're still a ranked team.
And they lost to Boise already, but it was a close game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't Boise's best win by any means.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, most likely UNLV is going to be in the Mountain West Championship against Boise. There's a chance that CSU's in, but not likely.
No.
Because I mean, Nevada could could throw a wrench into things with UNLV just being a rivalry game. And Nevada is feisty. They're not a good team, but they're feisty.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's possible, but all likelihood it's going to be Boise and UNLV in the Mountain West Championship, and Boise's probably going to roll. But it was a close game last time, so Mountain West is better than we thought, better than we gave it credit for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Notre Dame at USC. This is a really interesting game. USC is 6-5. Started the season really good.
Yeah, they started out, I think, 5-0,
something like that, and then the Big Ten.
They started out 3-1.
Okay, and then the Big Ten kind of caught up to them.
Penn State, Maryland,
yeah,
and Washington. So they have losses. They lost to Michigan when they were still ranked.
That's true.
And they lost to one good team on the list. I mean, Washington's a middle team. Rutgers right now is a middle team. But Minnesota has just been kind of fucking up the big players.
Yeah.
So, you know,
I mean, Minnesota's not a bad team. They're not necessarily good, but not somebody I would want to play if I was, especially late in the season. And USC, they're not necessarily a good team this year, but compared to last year, like they're so much better than they were last year. And
defensively, the issue is just offensively. Caleb Williams, as much hate as he's getting, is truly the reason why. That offensive line and his ability to improvise is truly the reason they were able to stay in games last year. Because he just throw for 7 touchdowns a game because his offensive line was just out of nowhere.
And he was able to make shit happen with his legs long enough to make. Hold that thought though, because I want to, we've got Bo Nix on the brain, but I think we were a little harsh on Caleb Williams, and then we were also a little high on Jaden Daniels. And when you look at how everything's kind of shaken up down the line, like, it's still the same 3 rookie quarterbacks, but the conversation on them has changed completely. So we'll do that on the NFL. Notre Dame is a 7.5-point favorite at USC. I don't hate USC with the points there.
No. I mean, USC is a points team, even if they can't, always do it. They've played up to their competition and played down to their competition.
And if LA is ever a football town, it's when USC is playing at home. Like they're not a football town except for USC. So I guess UCLA back in the day, but UCLA hasn't been good in a minute. Miami at Syracuse. Syracuse could play spoiler here too. Like they got Kyle McCord, who was on Ohio State last year. Not necessarily a good quarterback, or not a great quarterback, but he's way overqualified to be starting at Syracuse.
Yeah.
Like, Syracuse is not a good football school. Hasn't been since Jim Brown.
Yeah, but they've been good this year. I mean,
they have been because they got Kyle McCord.
They've got a good quarterback, and they've been able to support him pretty well. I mean, the loss against Stanford was upsetting.
Yeah, Stanford sucks.
Garbage. But, I mean, they lost against Boston College, who's been decent.
Yeah.
If not, less than hoped with Bill O'Brien there. But and against it at that point, undefeated Pitt. Like, Syracuse has been in the mix all season, and I don't see them letting Miami run wild over them. Miami has had so many squeaked out victories against decent teams that they barely beat Virginia Tech. They beat California by 1.
Yeah.
Because of luck. They squeaked out a win in a shootout against Louisville, and they were duking it out with Duke until the last 10 minutes of the fourth quarter. I mean,
and some would call that a shit game, duking it out against Duke. It's a pun.
Yeah.
No, I actually I like Syracuse with the points on this one. I don't know if they win this. I'm gonna hit the over just because I like the just same way we did the other week with Washington State, and who did they play? Either way, it was a 72-point over, and it hit with a lot of room to spare. This one seems like another one of those that could go
a big
like
shootout.
80, 85 total points. You know, I like the over on this. I don't mind Syracuse with the points. I don't think they win, but they could. But I bet they give. It feels like they're going to give Miami a scare, especially being at home. And then we have SMU
at SMU.
Cal is quietly 6-5.
Quietly, I mean, then they've had some good wins.
Yeah,
I mean, Florida State was a tough loss.
Yeah, I mean, that's Florida State's one win of the year is against Cal.
Against Cal.
Oof. And those are like old blue bloods too.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
I love seeing Florida State suffer.
I kind of do too. I do too. One of my favorite Florida State stories of all time was Randy Moss went there on a recruiting trip, and just young punk ass high school Randy Moss. Can you even imagine how cocky that motherfucker had to have been?
Oh yeah.
But he was talking shit as Randy Moss does, and I think it was I think Bobby Bowden was still head coach at the time, head ball coach. That's Spurrier says head ball coach, but Bobby Bowden I think was the coach there. And anyway, it somehow it happened where Randy Moss called out there. He said, "Bring me your fastest guy and I'll beat him." And he smoked him in street clothes. And this was like, you know, early 90s when baggy gangster shit was in. I mean, so like his jeans alone probably weighed 10 pounds.
And those like untied shoes.
He smoked their fastest guy by a ways, I guess. And then he fucked off and went to Marshall. But Cal at SMU should roll here, but it also, I mean, it's been a while since SMU has been kind of in this conversation. Well, since they got the death penalty. So I don't know if this is like a good place for SMU to choke, but I don't know. If there was a place, this seems like it might be. Everything's lined up really well for SMU this year, and they're sitting to where they just got to close it out, and they're going to be in the playoff. And it'd be funny to watch a bunch of rich kids from Dallas cry when they just fuck their whole season to a bunch of hippies from California.
Looking at this Auburn-Alabama game, I think the spread is way too big.
Yeah, I think so too.
After Alabama last week losing by 21 to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Even though they're playing at home against Auburn, I don't
Auburn's coming off a big
Alabama
win.
Might have 4 losses.
Yeah. I think this is a field goal game, you know, and I mean this is a game that's just known for those. I mean, the kick 6 deal. Like, I mean, it's known for wild, just insane finishes. Even when Auburn doesn't have a good team, it just like this game is always wild. And yeah, Bama got embarrassed. So I mean, you'd like to think they're going to come out swinging, but Auburn's coming off a huge win, and they're one of they're going to want to continue that just by dragging their nuts all over Alabama's chin. So I don't know. We got a bunch of retards slugging it out. That's all I know. And yeah. I'm here for it. That's what America's about.
I'm a big fan.
Yeah. This will be a fun game. Alabama 11.5. I'm gonna take Auburn to cover. I'll have to look and see what the Auburn money line is, but I won't be a big bet, but I might throw $5 on Auburn money line. Arizona State at Arizona. Arizona was kind of disappointing this year. They were another team we thought might be kind of good, right?
Arizona started, I think, this season ranked. They were expected to finish in like the top 3.
It was like we expected
started out from the top 25.
Yeah, we expected flip flop of this ranking here.
Yeah, we expected Arizona State to be at the bottom of the Big 12, and they are tied for first with 3 other teams, but they are tied for first.
Well, and the team that has looked the best over the last 3-4 weeks, for sure.
Yeah. Aside from Kansas.
Yeah, Kansas, who's out of it, but like Arizona State and Kansas have looked like the best teams out of the Big 12 the last couple of weeks, and I don't see Arizona doing much here. ASU's 8.5 point favorite. I kind of like them to cover, even though it's a rivalry game. But I mean, is it that big of a rivalry? Not really. Mostly because neither of these teams are historically have been good. So I don't know. ASU's coming in really hot. I like them to cover. Arkansas at Missouri. This is a fun game too.
It's going to be a fun game. This Arkansas team is kind of like Auburn right now. They have really surprised and also disappointed.
Yeah.
And so there's a significant chance for this game to kind of shock people. I mean, that's a pretty accurate,
a classic Arkansas team. Like, they're either better than their record says or shockingly bad for the amount of talent they have.
Yeah.
And this year I think they're better than their record says. But they're gifted with the curse of being in the SEC. So they're gonna always have good talent, but they're in the SEC. So you got to earn that shit. And they haven't, but they can play spoiler. There's a good chance they knock Missouri out of the playoff picture completely. I mean, they're basically out of it at this point. But like I said, that card is on the table, and there's a good chance Arkansas takes that off the table and burns it. Yeah, I thought Missouri was going to be a better team than this year, and 8-3. It's not a bad record, but it's an ugly 8-3.
It really is. Those losses have been ugly.
Yeah, like real ugly. We'll see. We'll see how that goes, but Arkansas's a pretty good team with not a great record. Purdue at 1-10 against Indiana. This would be hilarious if Purdue got their first Big Ten win against a 10-1 Indiana.
Oh, the Big Ten is also doing the 9 conference, the 9-game conference season. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Too many teams now, I guess.
Indiana's a 28.5 point favorite. Why is Purdue so bad this year? I mean, they haven't been good in quite some time, but
I don't know. This is a surprisingly awful Purdue team.
They're usually on par with Indiana, and probably a little bit better than Indiana. I don't know. They're of course Indiana They got spanked against Ohio State. They're still a good football team, but as far as like playoffs go, if they do make the playoffs, they're gonna get curb stomped by a 2-loss SEC team in the first round. But they ought to roll here. It'd be hilarious if they didn't, but I don't. Purdue's so bad.
Yeah. I feel bad for them, but they're not going to win this. This is a fun game. Washington has been Oregon's kryptonite. Whether or not Washington is having a good year,
the
past decade, Washington has been Oregon's like the bane of Oregon's existence.
Has Oregon ever? They went undefeated in the regular season with Mariota, right?
Yeah,
and they got spanked in the championship.
Yeah.
Oregon, really, really fucking good team, deservedly with the number 1 spot. I'm still not buying them as a national champ yet. We'll see. This seems like a perfect place for Oregon to fuck over their season. I mean, they'll still get in the playoffs, but yeah, with their record against Washington and just how groovy everything's going for Oregon right now, it seems like a perfect time for them.
Primed.
Yeah. Seems like a good place for Oregon to fall apart. Spreads at 19. I don't know if I bet this game, but I'll watch it. That's a fun one.
Texas at A&M at Kyle Field, and they are still favored above. I mean, this is a Texas A&M team who has their fall from grace this season has been so significant, and I called it from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't expect them to be as good as they were to start, but good Lord, have they been bad.
Well, it's funny is they're like a better version of the Cowboys this year, of Dallas Cowboys, where like high hopes, they came crashing down, they clawed their way back into the conversation, and then just butt fucked it all the way again. And it's a shame that college football doesn't end in a tie, because that's kind of what I'm rooting for here.
Yeah, that would be really nice. Looking at
my gut says Texas wins by a field goal, but
I also wouldn't be surprised if Texas blows them out, or Texas has a blowout lead and loses it like they did last year to Oklahoma.
Yeah, I don't know how this is going to go. My gut says Texas by a field goal in a shootout, but I'm not at all convinced on that.
Primed for chaos.
Yeah. I kind of want Texas A&M to win. Well, first of all, fuck Texas, but also just for the chaos, it'd be absolute mayhem. Bedlam, as they call it in Oklahoma. Bedlam. K-State at Iowa State. This is a big game, too.
Yeah.
This is a really big game. And
it's not so big for Kansas State anymore. It just determines if they have 9 wins or 8 wins. But
right.
For Iowa State, a loss knocks them out of playoff contention, because it knocks them out of contention for the Big 12 title.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be,
this is like their best year ever in football.
At least in a very long time.
Since I can remember.
Yeah.
And Iowa State has that penchant for knocking people off, but now they're the favorite, and they haven't done so well when they're the big dog of the conference. And K-State has no problem spoiling somebody's season. They've done it pretty regularly. But that being said, Ames is a really tough place to play, especially for Big 12 teams, and this is a classic Big 12 matchup. I like Iowa State to squeak it out over K-State, but
I'm going to disagree with you there, but I just don't think that Iowa State is as good as their record shows. I think
I don't think they are either.
Record, but I also think because I think they've been unlucky and they've been sloppy in their losses against BYU. Sloppiness is what they came into Provo expecting to play great, and they did not play great. They were just hoping that they would figure it out.
And K-State's a pretty disciplined team for the most part.
Yeah,
they have their moments where they're not, but historically they're a disciplined team, and they're scrappy. They're always scrappy. And Iowa State's kind of, they got a lot of history that tells me they're going to lose this game.
History of chokes.
Yep. So I kind of like Iowa State, but I probably won't bet this. But that's going to be a fun game. I like that matchup a lot. It's going to be a dogfight. Nevada at UNLV. UNLV should roll. I like Nevada with the points, though. I think that's going to be a lot closer than the spread. It's in Vegas. I don't know if that's a huge issue for home field advantage, but UNLV is clearly a better team. But in-state rivalry, and Nevada's been pretty scrappy this year, so they've played up to competition. They're 3-9, but when they've played good teams, they've played them pretty tight. So, Houston at BYU. Who cares? I think BYU's pretty well out of it at this point. Houston sucks, though. BYU -13 in Provo.
Houston also has beaten K-State. Houston's played some good football this year. They've just been unlucky, in some of their losses. I mean, they kept Oklahoma to 16 points. They lost to Oklahoma 16-12. So there's still Houston is not a good team.
No,
BYU is choking.
Yeah, it's also looking like BYU's not that good of a team either. Like they're
not soaking.
Definitely. Like see what we need to know is that did the Mormon women go on like a soak fest, or did they
soak strike?
Yeah, was it a soak strike for the hot part of the season, or was it a soak fest? Because either way, like you got to go back to what was working for you.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that means a wet Mormon dick or a dry Mormon dick, but if you want to make the playoff, you got to go back to what was working for you. All right, who we got in the Mountain West this week?
Wyoming is at Wazoo. Boise State has Oregon
Boise
State
at Oregon State, Utah State at Colorado State, Stanford at San Jose. Who cares? Fresno at UCLA. Who cares? Wyoming at Washington State.
The only games anybody should care about are Wyoming at Wazoo and Utah State at CSU.
Yeah, exactly.
Boise State's going to roll. I mean, that spread is maybe a little low. CSU, it might be a game. We've seen Utah State play some decent football, and we've seen Colorado State play Colorado State football. So
I wouldn't be surprised to see, especially coming off a loss to Fresno, I wouldn't be surprised to see CSU lose this game. I don't think they will, but I'll laugh and shake my head and say, "Yep, that's my Rams."
Yeah.
Yeah, Stanford, San Jose, nobody cares. Fresno, UCLA doesn't matter. How is Wyoming going to do against Washington State?
Yeah, we're gonna get blown out.
I kind of figured.
The reason we lost to Boise is because we can't stop the run, and Wazoo is gonna pass all over us.
All right. They still run that air raid up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. 58.5 for the over. I'm not going to bet that game, but I'll wish the Cowboys the best of luck. We already covered Nevada, UNLV, Air Force at San Diego State. Gross. New Mexico at Hawaii. Also gross. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
I gotta go take a leak, and we'll come back and do some NFL.
All right.
All right, we're back.
Right.
NFL. Started out with a fucking banger of a game on Thursday night. We had the Steelers at the Browns, and
what a game!
That was so much fun. It was a snow game. Like they had the snow shovels out, clearing off the yard markers. They had them clearing off the hash marks and had surprisingly a lot of field goals for a snow game like that, and surprisingly quite a bit of passing for a a snow game. But it was a classic NFC North game. Steelers let one slip by, but Jameis Winston out there doing his thing.
Jameis Winston, he's a good quarterback. I'm telling you.
He's not a great quarterback, but he is a good quarterback.
Yeah.
And let's see. Nobody had great stats this.
No, but it's also the snow.
It's the snow.
Judy had 85 yards through the air.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
Never did that in Denver.
No, he didn't. But Jameis was 18 of 27 for 219. Had a pick. But, I mean...
Russell Wilson played Russell Wilson ball.
Yeah, he was 21 of 28, 270, and a touchdown.
No interception. I mean...
No interceptions. They brought Justin Fields in to run a little bit. I don't know. This was just a fun game.
Yeah.
I lost money.
Came down. I really liked seeing the hustle from Jameis.
Yeah, like he's. I mean, it's kind of. I wouldn't say it's his last shot because he's clearly good enough to play in the NFL.
Yeah, he's good enough to start.
I mean, I'd take him over Aiden O'Connell or I don't know, Will Levis or Daniel Jones. I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks I'd take. Yeah, I'd take Jameis over them, and starters too. So it was a fun game. Steelers are at 8-3. Browns got no chance of doing anything, but Jameis is playing for a contract, so might as well. That Browns defense is really good still. There's a lot of talent on that roster. I don't know. Watch out for the Browns late in the season. They got nothing really to play for, but they got a lot of talent. It's not a bad team. It's a terrible organization, but on paper, it's not a bad team.
There is 6 weeks left. They could finish 9-8 and make the playoff.
Potentially. Honestly, it'd be like the last wild card. But I mean, it's possible. It's possible. Vikings at the Bears. Vikings are at 9-2. You'd think they'd beat the Bears a little more convincingly, but they're on the road. It's a old NFC North rivalry.
Yeah, and it's also the Vikings. The Vikings are the best fraudulent team in the NFL.
I think so too.
And I don't know if they're cursed. I mean, I hate calling them fraudulent, but I do also because I'm a Packers fan. But
I mean, Sam Darnold would have to win more than 2 Super Bowls before I would take him seriously as a good quarterback.
But he's playing good football.
He's playing good football. I can't quite bring myself to say that he's a good quarterback, but
not yet.
He looks like it so far this year.
Yeah,
and then speaking of guys that Caleb Williams had a hell of a game, 32 of 47, 340 and 2 touchdowns. We were talking earlier. It's funny at the start of the season, Jaden Daniels was my clear favorite of the best rookie quarterback. Bo Nix, I was playing delusional fan, but now like if he takes him to the playoffs, I'll buy a fucking Bo Nix jersey.
Oh yeah, we might keep him. Yeah, I was genuinely worried, but because Bo Nix kind of was able to play so much in college.
Yeah.
His development wasn't as rough as someone like Josh Allen.
No.
Or Jared Goff.
Well, and Bo Nix played on not a good Auburn team, but he played on a good Oregon team, but he took his lumps along the way, but not nearly as many lumps as Josh Allen had to take. But he also started out well, particularly first half of the game early in the season was dog shit. There was one game he went into the locker room at halftime with negative passing yards
Yeah.
and double digit attempts. I mean, it was worse than Tebow first half numbers. And that's, I mean, Tebow put up terrible first half numbers. I mean, possibly the worst ever.
Yeah.
And Bo Nix was doing worse than that for a minute. And now like it's starting to catch on. Cortland Sutton's looking like an absolute stud here recently.
Yeah. Oh, he looked like a stud last year.
Yeah. And but like yeah, he's showing out and like him and Nix seem like they're on the same page. Jaden Daniels came out with his hair on fire. I mean, that dude was lighting the world up, and he's kind of come back down to earth. He had a really good game last week, fantasy wise, but I think a lot of it was just playing catch up. I didn't watch that game, but they lost to the Cowboys. I know it's a division rivalry and it's the NFL, but golly, the Cowboys are on life support and
yeah.
So like Jaden Daniels is kind of coming back down to real life. Caleb Williams started out like dog shit, and last couple of weeks, like he hasn't looked. I wouldn't say he's looked good, but he's doing some stuff. Like you're not having to poke him with the stick saying do something. Like he's making some shit happen. He might be kind of good. I don't know. I'm still. I guess I'm not actively rooting for him to fail now.
Yeah, I mean he 340 yards.
And honestly, against for a fraudulent team, a pretty good Vikings team. Lions still just rolling people. They didn't dump in as many points this week, but
I mean
still
they are dominant.
Dominant.
They are far and away the best team in the NFL right now.
Yeah, they gotta make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They've got to. If they lose to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, I'm not going to hold it against them because what are you going to do? Patrick Mahomes is the best we've ever seen, and the NFL fucking loves him, so they're not going to let him lose.
I hate him so much. I mean, they barely beat the Panthers.
I know, and he's on camera saying, "Let's go win the game." I kind of hate you now. I respect it. Like he's on Brady level now. Like I hate him, but I don't bet against him.
Yeah, I hate that.
I know it. But yeah, Lions. I'm actively rooting for the Lions to fuck shit up this in the playoffs. I'd love to see Dan Campbell get a Super Bowl. Like I'm in no way, shape, or form a Lions fan, but I like football dudes, and Dan Campbell's just a football dude, and that team is like, yeah. They might burn Detroit all the way to the ground if they win a Super Bowl. I mean,
they can't grease the holes because that's adding fuel to the fire.
They've got a lot of empty buildings to burn. They've got a lot of empty buildings they can burn. So yeah, watch out if they actually go out and win a Super Bowl. Patriots at the Dolphins. I mean, Dolphins are they're still in it.
They're still in it.
They're still in it. I don't care anything about this game, but the Dolphins could sneak into the playoffs pretty easy. Especially now that like Tua is alive and functioning, and
yeah,
like still doing two of things, so like still a good chance he might die. There's only so many of those hits you can
I'm just
take.
waiting for his Antonio Brown moment.
Well, the big question is it somebody going to hit him, or is it him not knowing how to take a fall?
Yeah, it might be him. He might be his own Antonio Brown moment. But
He might pull a Shohei and just hurt himself in the playoffs. Like he might kill himself because he doesn't know how to slide.
Yeah.
Equally possible as getting decapitated. So he might decapitate himself.
Bucks at Giants. I don't know if you saw this, but Baker is
a boss.
The fumble, and he's the only one who went after it. Kept the ball in the Bucks' hands. I mean, Baker got so much disrespect.
So much. I was part of it. I was part of it.
In I don't know how many years. He was able to win a Super Bowl with the Rams.
Yeah.
He is a great quarterback. He's not one of those guys like Tebow, and I love Tebow, but who was a college quarterback. Baker was built to play in the NFL and to play well in the NFL.
He's a better version of he's a grittier version of Drew Brees.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say better because Drew Brees is a Hall of Fame quarterback. I know I'm not trying to throw any disrespect towards Drew Brees, but like he's that same style of quarterback, but I just and Drew Brees is gritty as fuck. I think Baker's grittier.
Yeah.
I like it, and he. You would have to arrest him and take him off the field before you get him off the field. Like he will play hurt. Like that dude does not give a fuck. I'm a big Baker Mayfield fan.
Oh yeah.
And the Buccaneers are a way better team than 5 and 6. They're a really fucking good team. The Giants are whatever. They got another generational wide receiver, and they're gonna waste him away. Like he's Jefferson might actually win something, but as long as Malik Neighbors is in New York, he's gonna be Megatron. He's gonna put up stupid numbers and never do anything because he's on a dog shit franchise.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see Tommy DeVito try something.
I'm a fan of Tommy DeVito too.
I love Tommy DeVito.
I'm an underdog fan. Baker Mayfield's he's the elite underdog. But I fuck yeah. Come on, Tommy DeVito. Tommy Cutlets, go throw all the touchdowns. Let's see it. It's a dog shit franchise. Why not?
Yeah. Dude,
go make a buck here. You got a chance to make generational money. Go get it.
Yeah. And to be quite honest, I think Tommy DeVito has a talent.
He's not bad.
I think he's a Sam Darnold type, Jameis Winston type with the right coaching can really succeed.
He reminds me of like a Tony Romo coming out, like went to a nothing school and but he's got a chance, and he wasn't great last year, but when he was good, he was really good.
Yeah.
And yeah, you got Malik Neighbors. Fucking throw it up. Go just feed that dude the ball. Go get both of you guys paid.
Yeah, DeVito had 189 yards of no interception football. It's just tough when
that's huge. Don't turn the ball over and you got a chance.
That's how Russell Wilson has maintained a career in the NFL.
Brock Purdy doesn't turn the ball over.
Brock Purdy is not the most talented quarterback, but he's one of the smartest. He makes smart decisions. You play like Brock Purdy, and you're gonna find yourself eventually winning games.
There is nothing exciting about Brock Purdy, but he doesn't turn the ball over, and he
Exciting about Brock Purdy is he makes the right decision when he needs to make the right decision.
he gets the ball in the guys that are exciting. He gets the ball in their hands.
Yeah.
And
he knows who to throw the ball to. He knows how to hand it off, and he also knows how to run.
Yeah, and Tommy DeVito, you're not going to do anything with this team this year, but you got a chance to go make some money, and you've got a guy to make you look good. Like Malik Neighbors, just like chuck the ball up. He'll go get it. And he's wanting he wants that money too. Like, just go put on a show, even though it's a chance you I guess you'd be 8-9. It's almost a 500 year. Far out, like if you win out, like that's far out seeding expectations. And yeah, you've got one of the best receivers in the league. Just why not? Just go do it. Be interesting. I've got Neighbors on my fantasy league too, so I want to see it. I want to see it.
Yeah.
Cowboys at the Redskins. Jaden Daniels, he was 25 of 38 for 275 and 2 touchdowns, but those touchdowns came in the fourth quarter, playing catch up, and the Cowboys put up 24 in the fourth. Washington's a pretty good team, but their defense is not good. And they got really exposed that game. Really exposed.
Yeah, I mean, it was unlucky on the Commanders' part. But again, when you're letting the Dallas Cowboys...
With Cooper Rush.
I
mean, we make... For all the shit that we give Dak Prescott is a starting quarterback in the NFL.
And he's a good starting quarterback.
Right. Cooper Rush is not, for a reason. He was serviceable at times, but they have not been good with Dak this year.
No.
So as much as I don't like Dak, and I'm a big seller of Dak Prescott, he is light years above Cooper Rush. He's so much better than Cooper Rush, and they put up 34 on Washington. That's embarrassing. That's a bad loss for Washington. That Jaden Daniels looked good. It
wasn't Jaden Daniels' fault.
No,
it was definitely a defensive letdown, and it sucks that the blame is on the kicker.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's missed the extra point, but they allowed 34 points to Cooper Rush and the Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, you tack that 1 point on, and they still lose 34-27. It's talk shit on the kicker. I'm fine with that, but you gave up 34 to the Cowboys with Cooper Rush. The Chiefs, they're the laziest great football team ever. I mean, they're a great football team. That defense is nasty. Patrick Mahomes, again, best quarterback I've ever seen play the game. Fuck that guy. Travis Kelce, arguably.
I've ever seen. Fuck him.
Travis Kelce, same thing. It's Brady and Gronk, but it's Mahomes and Kelce.
Yeah,
they're both great. Fuck them both. It's the Panthers. Who cares? It was a close game, but nobody ever thought the Chiefs were gonna lose that game.
Yeah.
Texans are on a little bit of a skid here. Lose to the Titans 32-27. That fucked up pretty much all of my teasers for the morning slate of the games. It's a young team in the tech. That's a good team. They're still a really good team. I wouldn't want to play them, but yeah, they got some holes still. Young team.
Yeah.
Young coach too. I like D'Amico Ryans is I think a really really good coach, but he's young and was his second year as a head coach.
Yeah. And I mean, this is a Texans team who's minus some really solid players.
Mm-hmm. Diggs is out for the year. Mixon is still putting on a clinic. Mixon is an elite running back on a good team. CJ Stroud's still really good, but he's in his little sophomore slump. But that's a good quarterback. Yeah, still not a team I want to play. Titans are terrible, but they could reach up and bite you. It's still the NFL. Broncos at the Raiders. This was unnecessarily close. It was a 13-point game with 4 minutes to go, and all you had to do was run the ball. And they went 3 and out and took about 15 seconds off the clock. 3 straight passes, 3 straight incompletions. If you would have ran the ball for negative yards, you would at least force them to burn timeouts or took about a minute and a half off the clock.
Yeah.
But no, you're trying to get, and I get it. Bo Nix is lighting the world on fire right now, but you didn't need him to put up numbers right there. Just hand the ball off. Again, it doesn't even matter if you make yards at that point. You force them to burn a timeout or you take time off the clock. This is all you have to do. You're up 13. Instead, they go and kick a field goal, and then you go 3 and out again on 3 straight passes, and then you have to go down and kick a field goal I guess they kicked a field goal to bring it back to 10 points, but it was unnecessarily close. No fear of the Broncos losing that game, but when 2 idiots like us can be screaming, just run the fucking ball, and we're right, like that shouldn't be the case. Shouldn't be the case when, especially Sean Payton, one of the better coaches of all time.
And you think he'd know what to do,
right? But I think he's just trying to get too cute. You know, he's got all these new toys that are finally working. It took him all season to get them put together, but they're finally clicking and working like they're supposed to. And he wants to show them off a little bit, but just slowly pull into the garage. That's all you have to do. Like, we got this thing. You're home. You don't got to run out the back of the garage. Just pull it in. That's all you got to do.
Yeah. Super easy. Just take your time.
Yeah. Like I said, and that one scenario, you didn't even have to gain any yards. Like, a first down would have been great. That would have clinched it. But 3 straight runs for negative yards would have been acceptable. at least you're forcing them to burn a timeout or take time off the clock. I don't know. It's frustrating for a 10-point win, but it's against the fucking Raiders.
10-point win is a two score win.
Yeah.
You know,
the Raiders. You got to blow the doors off.
Yeah, but it also shows a lot of improvement for us as a team. When we are critiquing what they did wrong coaching wise in a 2-point or a 2-score win.
True. It's a good feeling.
Differently, and I'm like, yeah, but we still won by 10 points.
I know it. But it's classic Bronco fan. You can never fully trust them. So no. you gotta talk shit even when they're winning. If you get too much you get too much dick riding in, it doesn't go well. You gotta talk shit the whole way.
Yeah.
But yeah, fuck the Raiders, solid win. And we hadn't beat them in a while too, so finally it's starting to feel like the Broncos that we grew up with, like we expect to win, and
Yeah.
it hasn't happened in a while, but finally starting to. Packers beat the shit out of the Niners. Niners had everybody hurt. Who's their quarterback?
Uh, is it?
Brandon Allen.
Yeah, Brandon Allen is starting for him right now. I mean,
Who
is
he? Huh. He's a guy that's not ever supposed to see the field.
no, he's definitely when Brandon Allen is starting, it's not a great
Not great.
thing.
Josh Jacobs was great. I've got him on my fantasy team as well. But 26 carries for 106 yards and 3 touchdowns. That'll do it. You don't need much out of Jordan Love if you got that going. Yeah, the Niners, I mean, it's a really good thing for them. They're in a shit division. Because they could easily win that division still. Otherwise, they're going to be scrambling for a wild card spot.
Yeah,
and man, that's a disappointing team. Like between injuries and then even when they haven't been fully healthy because McCaffrey just came. This is his second game back, but even when he was out, knowing that he was going to be out for a while, when they were healthy, they were still not just clicking on all cylinders like we've seen him do. And it seems like kind of a bust of a year for them.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think it's I don't think their window is closed.
No, but
it's not as open as it was last year by any means, and it sucks that they weren't able to build enough depth to get to a point where they could lose pieces and still compete.
They're at the point. Like I think they got maybe one more year with this, like with their core group of talent.
Yeah.
Before they kind of gotta just implode it. But I don't see it happening this year. I think they might make a playoff. And if they do, I mean, anything can happen in the playoffs. But I'm not feeling it from them this year.
No, I mean they like the NFC West. They're one game back.
Yeah, it's a shit division.
Seattle is 6-5, Arizona is 6-5, LA is 5-6, and San Fran is 5-6.
And honestly, I think LA might be the best team in that division right now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree.
So, I mean, they're definitely not out of it, but just the vibes I'm getting from them so far this year, I don't buy them. I don't buy them. They haven't proved anything yet this year, and that's even with. I mean, I guess you can't take too much away from the score with that, with everybody being out, but that's a pretty solid ass whooping on the road. Seahawks at the Cardinals. This was an important game that I didn't give two solid fucks about. Seahawks won 16-3. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, this is a Cardinals team that was just it's unfortunate how bad the NFC West is right now.
Yeah. Yeah, because I don't take either of these two teams seriously.
No.
Regardless of what their record says, I just don't take them seriously. I would, in the playoffs anyways, like take any of the NFC West teams in the playoffs. I take the Niners seriously and I take the Rams seriously. Not the two teams with the best records right now. I don't at all take them seriously in the playoffs.
No, I don't. Now, if the 49ers were to figure it out, get some pieces back, I can see them still being a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, and the Rams are they're not a good team, but I wouldn't want to play them. Like they've got some really good pieces, and when they can put it together, they look really good. Yeah, and they're 5-6 in the NFC West. They're right in the thick of it. But they got beat pretty soundly by the Eagles, who, I mean, what was Saquon Barkley? 26 rushes for 255 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Insane. I mean,
That
that's
dude, man child. He's just a man child. Yeah. The Eagles look really fucking good right now. The Rams look okay.
Yeah.
But
they put 20 points against a very solid Eagles team.
Yeah, but yeah, when you got a guy rushing for 255 against you, it's a long day at the office. It's a long day. But even so, like I said, it's a solid win by the Eagles, but it was not a bad performance by the Rams either. It was the Eagles are just playing really good football right now.
Yeah.
And then the Ravens at the Chargers, same thing. The Ravens are playing really good football right now. The Chargers are a good football team, really good football team. This is the mini Harbaugh Bowl, and yeah, it lived up to expectations. This is a good football game. Chargers ain't quite there yet, but man, AFC West is looking to be really, really interesting for the next several years.
Oh yeah,
got some really young, good quarterbacks and some top tier quality coaches in the AFC West. Minus the Raiders. The Raiders fucking suck. And fuck them. I don't care. But yeah, there's a fun game. Chargers are right in the thick of it. The Ravens are, man, when the Ravens play good football, they look good. Going into this week though, we got the Thanksgiving games. Bears at the Lions. Detroit -10 at home. Over under at 48.5. I know this is kind of it's a division game, kind of a rivalry, I guess, but it's the battle of two legendary shittily run organizations, but the Lions are humming right now. I like a 2-touchdown game, I think.
Yeah, at least. I definitely more than 10.
Yeah. 49 Lions could put that up on their own pretty easy. Man, Lions look good. Yeah. All my money's on the Lions for that game. Giants at the Cowboys. If it wasn't for Tommy DeVito and Malik Neighbors, I wouldn't give 2 fucks about this game. But I want to see how Tommy DeVito does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why not? And go embarrass the Cowboys at home again. They're 0-5 at home. Keep it up. Just keep it going. Why not? On Thanksgiving. Be hilarious. Dolphins at the Packers. If this wasn't in late November, I'd say this would be an interesting game. But yeah, I was listening to some stats, and Tua is terrible when it gets below 70 degrees, and it's gonna be
cannot play in the cold.
It's gonna be 28 degrees at Lambeau, and from what I hear, I've never been up there, but I hear 28 at Lambeau is a lot colder than 28. Feels like with the humidity and shit. So yeah, and just feed the ball to Josh Jacobs, and Packers will run away with that. They're 3.5-point favorites, over under at 46.5. I kind of like the under. Josh Jacobs to have 100 yards or more, I bet.
I'd take that.
The Black Friday game, we got Raiders at the Chiefs. Kansas City's at minus 12.5. If Minshew hadn't broke his collarbone, I would take the Raiders with the points, but Raiders are fucked. they are proper fucked. They were not a good team with and Minshew's not really a good quarterback, but he's scrappy. Like he'll try. Now he's out. I don't know. They got they had what's they got Spencer Rattler maybe? No, he's playing with the Saints.
Yeah.
Who is there? Is it Aiden O'Connell still?
Yeah. Yeah, he's the guy.
Yeah, I
don't know.
12.5 is a lot of points, and it's a division game.
Right now they're starting Desmond Ridder.
Desmond Ridder, that's who it is.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, it's the Chiefs, and the Chiefs have been playing extraordinarily down to competition this year.
Yeah, I kind of like the Raiders with the points, and not at all because I think the Raiders are capable of winning. Just
because they're lazy.
Yeah. I don't know if I bet on that, but if I were to bet, I'd take Raiders with the points. Probably the under. I don't expect the Raiders to put up many points, if any. Chiefs got a really good defense, which hasn't been the case typically of them. Chargers at the Falcons.
I take the Chargers.
I do too. Harbaugh plays smash mouth football. The Falcons don't, even though they could. They definitely could, but I don't know. This seems like a low scoring Harbaugh special. Just did J.K. Dobbins get hurt again?
I hope not, because I really liked watching that guy play, but he might be.
I think I heard he got
J.K.
hurt
Dobbins is questionable.
Okay, well,
but they still have Gus Edwards as their second string guy.
Yeah,
so it's not like they are sacrificing a ton of talent there.
No, I mean, when J.K. Dobbins is healthy, he's really fucking good, but he just notoriously gets injured for most of the season. So anytime he's even questionable, you're like, fuck.
Yeah, definitely.
Week. On paper, the Falcons should win this game. But I don't know. This feels like a Harbaugh special, just like a 10-3 type of game, with San Diego or the Chargers having like 45 minutes of time of possession. Steelers Bengals. This is an interesting game. The Bengals are I wouldn't say they're mathematically, I don't think they're out of it, but they're essentially out of it, but they're a scary team to play because they put up some points. And they're home favorites, 3-point favorites, 46.5. I think I like Steelers with the points. I don't know what the money line is, but I think the Steelers win this game.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd love to see the Bengals win. They need the win. The Steelers don't. I can see the Bengals, coming out of this on top.
Well, and if they do, that brings the Steelers back towards that 500 average, which is where they live.
Yeah, they live at a 9-8 playoff team.
Yeah. So they're overperforming what we thought they were going to be. I'm not surprised by the 8-3 record, but overperforming for what we were predicting. Division rival, and this is a pretty chippy rivalry. Bengals have to win if they want to stay alive. So yeah, I can see the Bengals winning this. I don't know. 3-point spread though. I don't know. I think I like the Steelers with the points. I'm not sure if they win it, but I can see it coming down to like a missed extra point or some shit like that. Haven't the Bengals have struggles with their kickers here lately?
Evan McPherson is one of the best kickers, but right now he's not.
Okay, and Boswell has been steady this season. I've got him. He scored all of their points the other day. It was like he kicked 6 field goals, and that was
they won 18-12.
Yeah, so
no touchdowns were scored.
Yeah, so this could very, very easily come down to a missed extra point or some shit like that. 31 degrees. Is there supposed to be snow?
I wouldn't.
No, it says sunny.
That possibility.
That'd be fun if it was. Steelers back-to-back weeks with snow games. That'd be awesome. Cardinals at the Vikings. I don't care about this game at all. But I could see the Cardinals sneaking out a victory here.
Yeah.
I don't know what makes me say that. I just feels like this would be a good place for the Vikings to lose. I don't know. I find it really hard to give a shit about this game.
Yeah, it is not a good game.
The records say it should be a good game, and the talent's there. It could be fun to watch. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. Colts Patriots, I really don't care about that game. Drake may be interesting to see how he does, if anything, but I'm not interested enough to actually watch. I'll check back in on some stats after the game, but Indy's 2.5-point favorite. Don't bet this game or the next game. Seahawks at the Jets. Seattle's 2-point favorite on the road. 41.5. I hate everything about this game. I don't know about you, but
I don't know. I'd love to see the Jets eke out a win, but I don't see it happening.
No, I don't either. They're not a good team. This game's just gross. I don't like it.
Titans Commanders.
Also don't like that game.
No, but I see the commies pulling it out.
Yeah, I think I think they probably roll on this one. Their defense is terrible, but they're a way better offense than the Titans. 44.5. I kind of like the over on that. Texans at the Jaguars. God, the Jaguars are so bad. And they like like nobody pays attention to the Jaguars.
But watch the Texans lose to the Jags.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't be surprised. It's in Jacksonville. Houston -5. This does seem like a trap game for Houston, but not a chance I'm gonna bet it. No, fuck all of that game. Rams at the Saints. Rams should. What the fuck happened to the Saints? They started out hot.
Injuries.
Yeah, and then but even when Carr came back, like they're just not a good team this year. They look like it early, but turns out not. Is Olave out for the year?
I don't think so, but I could be wrong.
I had him on fantasy and then I traded him off.
He's on IR.
Nice.
Year.
I traded him at the perfect time. Rams -2.5, over under at 49.5. That's a lot of points. I like the Rams to cover, though. I think that's probably a touchdown game. Buccaneers at the Panthers. Baker Mayfield's going to put up stupid numbers again or do something wild because dude's a goddamn American. Tampa -6. I like that. Overs at 46.5. The Panthers are terrible. Buccaneers are a good team. Yeah. Give me Tampa to cover that. Baker Mayfield throw for three touchdowns. Probably impregnate a woman just from staring at her too long. Eagles at the Ravens. This is a hell of a game.
That's going to be fun. It's going to be a shootout.
This is like a mirror image team. Like they're almost identical. Like you have the bigger back in Travis Henry, but you got the bigger quarterback in Jalen Hurts. But other than that, like you have the same amount of poundage in the backfield, essentially. Similar talents at different positions. Two good defense. This is going to be a fun game. Baltimore's at home. They're a 3-point favorite. 50.5 for the. I kind of like the over.
Yeah.
Take
the over. Don't do anything with that spread because it could go either way.
Yeah, my gut tells me Philly on the road. Not enough to bet that, but I do like the over. Niners at the Bills. Looks like Purdy's back. I mean, this is a fun game. If the Niners get up for this, Bills have been playing really good football. This is a fun one. I hope the Niners play. I hope everybody's healthy and they're playing well because on paper this is a really fucking good game. Buffalo -7. Very tempted to take the Niners with the points. Overs at 44.5. I don't buy the Niners defense this year, so I kind of like the over. I think this could be a shootout.
Yeah.
Like James Cook and McCaffrey both have like a pair of touchdowns each. Like, I don't know. I'm hoping for it. Like I wanna see a good old shootout. And this is the Sunday night game, so yeah, give me Niners with the points and the over. I think the Bills win at home, but probably a field goal game. And then Monday night, Browns at the Broncos. Broncos minus 5.5 at home, 41.5 over. It's an interesting one. I like the under, I think. And yeah, give me Denver to cover. I think it's a touchdown game. I think it's a fun game though.
I think I see this game. I see it with potential snow because that's what we're getting along the Front Range right now. I
Okay.
see a Browns team come to play, led by Jameis. He's going to have some absurd things to say. It's going to be great. But
Oh
I see
yeah.
Bo Nix play maybe
He
his
is the oldest he's the youngest old black man I've ever seen. Like he always has these sayings that's like they come out of like the 1910s. Who the fuck says that?
Yeah.
But I want to hear it. I want to hear every bit of it. How's our boy do? Is he throwing footballs over mountains again? I think he is.
Against this Cleveland defense, absolutely.
I think so. I think him and Sutton have at least one touchdown connection. I want to see Estime break off another couple runs. Like that kid's been playing really good football. Javonte Williams hasn't done much of anything lately. McLaughlin's been whatever, but Estime's been coming on. They just don't give him the ball a whole lot. I don't know. I'm hoping for like a really fun kind of like a 2017 type of game.
I like that idea.
Well, like not a super
2017 without Paxton Lynch. 2017 type of game if we didn't have Paxton Lynch.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think it's not going to be a super high scoring game, but like enough scoring to where like if you got them on your fantasy team on defense, they're not going to do much for you. Not gonna lose the game for you, but they're not going to really add much. But Denver defense playing strong all year comes up with a big stop late, and yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. 5.5 though. Fuck it. Give me Denver to cover. Late touchdown.
Denver's covering at home.
Yeah, I think so. Late touchdown. Bo Nix throws a dart right over the Rocky Mountains. Boom. Right off into the sunset, Bo.
Absolutely.
There's some real stinkers of some games this week, but some pretty good ones too. College football is fucking outstanding. And any thoughts on the postseason awards for baseball?
Yeah, James McArthur, that early season closer for the Royals, was snubbed in Cy Young voting. I'll tell you that much.
That's your cousin?
Yeah.
I'll go to bat for him. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah. If I'm ever a voter, I'm voting him no matter what. He could have a 17 ERA and have pitched in 2 games, and I'd be like, yeah, this is my vote.
Was there any kind of, besides the Cy Young, your cousin obviously will we'll say he's obviously snubbed, but
Yeah.
it's hard to argue with Tarek Skubal.
Oh my gosh. What a year. I mean, I'd put Seth Lugo up there.
He had a good year.
I'd say Seth Lugo there's a debate to be had for that. But Terry Skubal, I mean,
man,
from the start, domination.
And just a machine, workhorse, almost unhittable. Just, I mean, ERA, wins, strikeouts, Triple Crown. Obviously, you got to give him the Cy Young. I mean, yeah. There was no question there. And no offense to Lugo and any of the other American League pitchers, but yeah, you can't argue with that one. Chris Sale, also hell of a year. Hard to argue with that one too. Shohei, obviously 50-50. Can't argue with that one either. Aaron Judge, man, looking at his postseason performance, you're just like, I mean, yeah, it's hard to say he wasn't the AL MVP with what do you have, 58 home runs?
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to argue with that, but then you see how he played in the postseason. You're just like
that plays a big role.
Yeah, and it was and he literally dropped the ball in the playoffs. That he had one of the, I mean, he had a Billy Buckner moment in center field. That just terrible postseason for Aaron Judge. But I guess congrats on the MVP. I understand. I understand the voting wise, but man, when you followed up with that type of performance in the postseason, that's tough. Bobby Witt had a historic year that got overshadowed by another historic year, and it sucks, but it's how it goes, I guess. He had a hell of a year, not the best postseason, but better than Judge. He didn't make it as far, but he did more with his few hits that he got than Judge did. I'll say. I mean, Judge, he did have some home runs, but
yeah, he had some bombs. I'm really excited to see this next season. You know, we talked about Brady Singer getting traded to the Reds.
Mm-hmm.
Blake Snell just signed with the Dodgers. It is unfair. You know, Wyoming has antitrust laws built into the state constitution. They need to do the same thing, but just for the Dodgers.
Just for the Dodgers.
That is insane. Yashimoto, they're going to have a healthy Shohei. They're going to have Brady Singer Blake Snell on roster. There's no way they lose.
Flaherty.
Yes.
God damn.
The pitching staff is obscenely good.
I saw that Trinan signed with somebody else, so that I guess they don't have Trinan,
and then they pick up Brady Singer.
Yeah, it's God damn, it's just like you're starting franchise mode on a video game. Just I like that guy. Money's not real. We'll do that. Fucking Dodgers. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how the rest of the postseason shakes out. What's the early talk on Soto? Is he going to stay at the Yankees?
I don't know.
He's playing really coy. He
doesn't want anybody to know. He's still teasing like on Instagram. Nobody knows really where he's going.
Whoever's running his PR marketing shit is good at their job, because that boy's gonna get fucking paid.
Yeah,
he's gonna get paid. I don't know where he's gonna end up, but it's gonna be for a lot of money, and I mean, hard to argue with it. He completely overshadowed Aaron Judge, who's the face of the Yankees, has been for a while now, and he completely overshadowed Judge in the playoffs. And arguably, if it wasn't for him and who's the shortstop?
Rizzo?
No, not Rizzo. Rizzo had a decent postseason. I'm not average wise, but had some clutch hits. But Gleyber Torres.
Yeah, it was Torres, and then there's Volpe.
Volpe was pretty good. Yeah, and he's that's a guy that if the Yankees were smart would pay him a little bit of money now and keep him around forever because he's a Yankees kid. He's got that hometown connection too. So like that'd be a guy if they were smart just to spend a little bit up front and keep him around forever because he's a solid player and hometown favorite. But yeah, in the postseason, if it wouldn't have been for Gleyber Torres and Juan Soto, I mean, that it wouldn't have been a series at all. So I don't know who he goes to, but man, it's gonna be. It won't be Shohei money, but it's gonna be big money, big fucking money. All right. Before we get out of here, any quirky predictions for the weekend? It's Thanksgiving weekend. Something weird always happens.
I don't know if I've got any wild predictions. I think after what happened to me on Saturday, I'm staying safe. I'm going with my gut. I'm not trash talking anybody. I'm not gonna say anything. I know Mississippi State's gonna lose. I'd like to see Kansas State come out on top.
I would too.
I don't want.
I want to see those goalposts in the Cumberland River. That's what I really want.
I want Vanderbilt to come out on top. I think it's going to be a close game in Nashville, and Vanderbilt has a better than zero chance, a non-zero chance of having two of the biggest upsets of the season.
Yeah, I'm here for it. I want to see that, and yeah, I want to see Tommy DeVito just throw a whole bunch of gabagool. Him and Neighbors connect for like 3 touchdowns in Jerry World on Thanksgiving. It'd be fantastic. I'd like to see it for no other reason than it'll piss off all the Cowboys fans.
Yeah,
that's simply because of that. So. Other than that, you have a happy Thanksgiving, amigo.
You as well.
Everybody out there listening as well. We how long did we go this time? Was it
3 hours, 2.5 hours?
2.5 hours, not bad.
Not our worst.
Not our worst. So
we've gone 4.5. So
yeah,
definitely. We talked about how we're just not even going to try to keep it light, and we kept it light. So
yeah.
It also helps that we don't know shit about basketball because there's so much to talk about there, and I wouldn't know where to start.
Same here.
I like Jokic. He's our fat, overweight horse guy.
He's only there because he's getting paid.
Only there for the paycheck. And that's about all I care about. And Wyoming won. So
there you go.
We'll take the win. We beat Tulane today. So go Wyoming basketball.
I assume CSU is going to be pretty decent in basketball this year. That they've kind of turned into a basketball school here of late. But that being said, I also have no fucking clue. So, yeah, go sports. Go sports. All right, everybody else, have a good Thanksgiving and move your ass. We're burning daylight.